Welcome to Reputation Revolution. This is the podcast where we help individuals like you to establish your voice in the marketplace, enhance the credibility of that voice, extend the reach of your story and your message, and finally, extract value from your efforts in building a meaningful personal brand that's both recognized and respected. Now, on with the show.
And we're back. Welcome to Season 7 of the Reputation Revolution show. My name is Trevor Young, and it just happens to also be our 250th show, and they thought we'd never make it. Not sure who said that, but I'm sure someone thought about it at the start, probably my good self. Yes, this is our 250th episode, so stick around. We've got a terrific show lined up for you. Multiple guests and very little brief snippets from 15, 16, 17 of our previous guests. And I'll get into that in a minute. But firstly, just a quick recap. You might not have heard me talk too much about this, the background to the show. If you're a regular listener, you'll certainly know the types of guests and the interviews that we do here. But given it's the kickoff of Season 7 and it's episode 250, let's get stuck into a little bit of context, and then we'll get into our guests and all the tips and advice that they have. So it is I'd call it a bumper episode. So, alrighty, Reputation Revolution. This is the show where we help credible individuals, and I do focus on credible individuals to build visibility, influence, and trust in the marketplace, and in doing so, position themselves to take advantage of all the benefits, the myriad benefits and opportunities that come with being an active participant in today's reputation economy. We live in a magnificent time. Essentially, what we're doing is covering the 4 pillars of building a successful and respected professional personal brand. I call it the credible authority method, and there are 4 cornerstones to this method, and we touch on all of these at some point in time with all of our guests. So the 4 cornerstones, number 1 is establish your voice. This is where we focus on mindset and positioning and getting the foundations right for the journey ahead. Second one is enhance the credibility of that voice. And this is where we look at content and channels, think owned media and social media. This is about becoming your own media channel and building an audience for your stories, your ideas, your insights, knowledge, and expertise, building a presence and influence in the marketplace. The third cornerstone is extend the reach of your voice. So think of this as amplification and third-party endorsement of your personal brand and your work. Much of this is around what we call earned media, media relations and publicity. Generating editorial exposure in independent channels is what earned media is. So, for example, it could be you do a podcast interview, you're a guest on someone else's podcast, or someone does a blog post listing the top whatever, and you're listed on that. Doing an opinion piece for a local newspaper or your industry trade journal. It could be, being on someone's YouTube show. It could be fantastic if you could get onto radio and TV. But today there's so many more opportunities. Yes, it's great to be on the big media channels, the big, commercial TV, talkback radio, mainstream magazines, national, international magazines, major metropolitan newspapers. That's all earned media. But of course, we have got bloggers and podcasters and live streamers being in someone's email newsletter that goes out to a niche audience. That's all earned media. So we do look at that side of things. Plus, we can add into this, extend the reach of your voice. We can put into here media relations, yes, but also what we call influencer relations. So this is more so about building relationships with key players in your industry. And so there's that side of things, but also think of it as public speaking as well, getting up and speaking to an audience, sharing your ideas from the stage, and it might be the virtual stage these days. This too is earned media because you earned the right for someone to invite you and give you the opportunity to speak at an industry conference or a seminar or just a a local industry meetup or something like that. So earned media, that's all around extending the reach of your voice. And the final cornerstone is extract value from the profile and the reputation you build in the marketplace. This is all about commercialization and opportunity, capitalizing on all the planning and the effort you've put into building your professional personal brand. I guess you could say this is the end game, as it were. We don't spend as much time on this last cornerstone, but we do. We just don't do a lot of it because it covers all those elements around building a business off the back of your personal brand. Or if you're already running a business, then lending your reputation to the business brand. So yes, we look at all the ways that you can make money as a result of your reputation. So whether it's running the business you've got, or advisory, consulting, coaching, mentoring, group coaching, online educations, professional speaking, teaching, lecturing, they're just off the top of the head. There's a whole stack more. But we work in the knowledge economy, and if you've got expertise, you've got ideas, wisdom, you can package up your knowledge and expertise, you can articulate it, communicate it out into the world, and build a product ecosystem around your professional brand. The sky's the limit, and we're seeing this time and time again. So we have done some case studies with people who have done this very thing. One of my favorite episodes was with a guy called Oscar Trimboli, who has done some amazing things, and he's the champion of listening. He's a global expert. Oscar is on listening, and he's turned that into a business around his personal brand. So that is a terrific episode. The number of that particular episode escapes me at the minute, but it's not too hard to find if you go back through some of the episodes of the Reputation Revolution. So look out for Oscar Trimboli. But that's the side of things where I join all of those dots about how to get yourself right for the journey, how you get, you build your owned media base. How do you make social media work for you effectively? How do you start getting people talking about you and extending that reach through independent third-party media channels and leveraging off other people's audiences? And then, of course, is that capitalizing on the brand that you've built. And what does that mean? So we've done a little bit of that as well. And so it's really, the whole idea is to see how everything ties up together and joins dots, keeps things interesting, keeps us motivated, keeps us fresh. So it's really important that I think we look at things holistically. And then, if you want to go and, you understand the big picture, the big journey, you've got the context there, strategically, you can see it all unfold. And that's the credible authority method. And that's kind of, the cornerstones that we do cover here, whether we say that all the time or not, but all the content we put out here, all the episodes we publish, fall under one of those cornerstones, if not a couple. And by at least addressing that and joining dots for people, you can then say, well, I might want to learn more about online courses, and there's a million podcasts on just online courses. There's a million podcasts just on LinkedIn. We cover LinkedIn, but some people just cover LinkedIn every single episode. So sometimes I think it's important. My belief, my philosophy is you have the big picture in play, you join the dots, you start plotting your own path over a period of time, you work out what's right for you and your brand, and then you start, going a bit narrow when you need to. So this Reputation Revolution is about that bigger picture, building that professional personal brand, and then taking advantage of all the opportunities that come with doing just that. So as I said at the outset, we're kicking off season 7, and this is the 250th episode. I believe we kicked off in 2014. I just had a look before I jumped on. When you do a podcast, you have to have a specialized podcast hosting platform. And I did change after 100 or 150 episodes. So I lost all my data from previously. So the data that I've got now, it's all different, but it takes across when you go into a new platform. It takes across all your old episodes. So I do believe we did kick off in 2014, But we've also had a few breaks along the way. If I focused on launching another business, I've had other podcasts. I do recall it took a little bit getting back into it and building some momentum again. But for the last year and a half, 2 years, the momentum's been building, and that's because I've had breaks, but they haven't been super long breaks, i.e., a year or a year and a half. So the podcast itself has been pretty solid for a few years now, and the back catalogue is a strong one and is still attracting downloads. So that's the great thing about having a podcast, is that it's if you put something up on LinkedIn or on social media, on Instagram or whatever, it's there and then it's kind of disappeared. People don't really go searching too far back. But when you've got a long running podcast, people find you. I mean, this one might be the first time you're listening to this, and you got 249 episodes to go back and have a listen to. Knock yourself out. People do that. It's a habit, or a habit. It's something that it's a pattern that we see with podcasting. Is if people discover a show at whatever juncture, they like that show, then they can cherry pick and go. People are not necessarily going to listen to every back episode, but they can cherry pick and see what's right for them and what's of interest and relevance to them and their situation at the time. So what I do see, the pattern that I see through the analytics, is that people are going back and listening to some of the older stuff, and they're really starting to grow in downloads as well. So that's terrific, because it is a body of work. I talk about a body of work often, and whether that's your blogging and you're on socials and podcasting, everything. But a podcast is a very public body of work that people can find, and it's on demand, so they can check it out whenever they like. And it's a great medium. It's a great medium. Alrighty. So I will say that producing a podcast does take a lot of effort, but I guess over the journey, the amount of stories, tips, advice, and ideas that I've been privy to from our guests, and of course you, the listener, have been as well, because I've been able to share those ideas and that advice and stories with an audience of thousands from around the world, which is incredibly gratifying. And the feedback I get certainly keeps me motivated to keep things going. So I'm really looking forward to kicking off season 7. We've got some terrific guests coming up. I'll just give you a bit of a sneak preview. We've got, and this is kind of in no order because I didn't know the order when I was recording this, but I have a number of episodes already locked in, and they've been recorded. So I spoke to Richard Vanderblom, who's a top LinkedIn expert, particularly around, he does a lot of research around the LinkedIn algorithm. He's done a magnificent, well-researched report. So we go into depth about the LinkedIn algorithm. Staying on the LinkedIn theme, I talk with Michelle B. Griffin and Michelle J. Raymond, or Michelle Square, as they refer to themselves. They've just released a new book on LinkedIn and branding on LinkedIn. And so that we discussed that. I spoke with Mark Schaefer, who's got a new book. Everyone's got new books. Must be the season for it. He's got a great new book called Belonging to the Brand, which is all around communities and building a brand community, which a lot of the examples around personal brands and people, the champions who are out there up front building these communities and movements. So that's a fantastic talk, and he looks, at communities from a strategic marketing point of view. And then to recap that episode and to take that theme a little deeper, I spoke with Mark Masters from You Are the Media. He's been on the show several times over the journey. Mark has his own online and offline community. He's been growing for years now. And Mark Schaefer used Mark Masters as a case study in the book. So I thought, let's get Mark Masters in to talk about my interview with Mark Schaefer. So it's a terrific 1-2 punch if you're interested in all things community, and it's a phrase we hear a lot about. It's used. It's probably never used really correctly in business and marketing circles, but it's a very powerful concept in today's connected online world. I've also spoken to Mitch Jackson, who is an attorney from California and very much a leading voice in the whole area of Web3. And when we talk Web3 and all that entails, we're looking at everything from virtual reality and a little bit of blockchain. We don't get too heavy, the metaverse, we don't get too heavy or technical, but I think it's worth looking at from a personal branding perspective how Web3 is going to affect us and the opportunities that come with being an active participant in the metaverse. So if it's an area that's been confusing with you, keep that an ear out or an eye out for my chat with Mitch Jackson. So that's just a little bit of a sneak preview of what we've got coming up. And also, I don't think there's any other news. I'm thinking about a new podcast to spin off this one, but I haven't really started putting my thinking cap on. It's just in the early days, so maybe I shouldn't even be talking about that. But I think, when there's so many great stories, so many people to chat to about in terms of topics and issues, then it's a great opportunity to have spin-offs if and where it makes sense, and trying to, I guess, push the boundaries of podcasting and what we can do with it. And of course, I do a lot of video with this podcast as well, and I repurpose every interview I do and into videos, little videos that go across LinkedIn and all my socials. So if we're not connected on LinkedIn, please do connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me you listen to the show. And hopefully you get to see some of the previews or some snippets that I do grab from each interview, each episode. Alrighty, enough of the introspection. Thank you for indulging me there. To mark the occasion of reaching 250 episodes, I thought I'd better do something different. So I invited some past guests to give us a short answer. Most of them around 1 to 3 minutes. Short answers to an open-ended question. And that question really is, from a personal branding or professional marketing perspective, what's the one thing that's really working for you currently? Some of the guests or the interview people, recipients, I got it back from them. They did talk about what's working for their clients as well. So it's really, there's some really great ideas there. Some that are probably not what you'd expect, I think, which is fair to say. And so I'll leave it at that because I don't want to preempt, because we've got about 16 or 17 of them. So let's get into it. And I really love to hear your feedback on this kind of concept of interviewing and getting getting stories, ideas, tips from a multitude of people, and then packaging them up into the one episode. So to kick us off, let's hear from, he describes himself as a relentlessly helpful LinkedIn nerd. His name is John Espirian. John's story, you can hear it on the podcast, episode 217. It was titled How Being Relentlessly Helpful Can Supercharge Your Personal Brand. In that episode, John unpacks his personal branding journey. He explains how he went from an unknown B2B technology writer to a high-profile LinkedIn expert who has successfully managed to differentiate himself from his competitors in the marketplace. He also talked about his book, and he's got a content marketing book as well. And so it was really great to see someone who has started basically with nothing. Not much profile to speak of. And now he's known, his reputation precedes him, which is a fantastic story. And it's really what we're all trying to do in one shape or another. John's actually done it. And by listening to his interview and his story, you'll get a pretty good feel for what's required to do it and how it can be done. So it's very motivational as well. It's one of our more popular episodes, John's story, and the value he provides in the interview is absolutely first class. So what's really working well for John Espirian at the moment? Let's hear from him.
Hi, I'm John Espirian, the relentlessly helpful LinkedIn nerd and leader of the Espresso Plus community. I help small business owners and solopreneurs to build a better organic presence online, and particularly on LinkedIn. The thing that's working really well for me right now, and has been for some time, is sending voice notes and video notes to people in direct messages once I've connected with them on LinkedIn. So I use a tool called Vidyard, which is free, plugs into Google Chrome, and it lets me share my screen and also puts a picture of me in a circle on that screen. And I can send people quick tips, and it's non-pushy and it's personal. And I think that human touch really helps me to be memorable with the people I connect with. And that has good effects down the line. So I'd highly recommend using the voice notes feature, which is on the LinkedIn mobile app, and something like Vidyard or possibly Loom to send people personal videos without a sales message, but aimed at helping them and building more of a human connection. If you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, you're more than welcome. That's where I hang out most of the time. Search for Espirian. You'll find me very easily. Please send me a personal note when you want to connect, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks.
What a great tip from John. And certainly his philosophy of, being relentlessly helpful, but also he uses LinkedIn in just a terrific way. And it's very much about connection and the individual person first. John is not someone to try and game the system. So if that's the way you love thinking about LinkedIn and really using it as a platform to build your network, but really to deepen the level of connection you have with people, other professionals in your digital neighborhood, your LinkedIn neighborhood, then I do urge you to follow John and check out his relentlessly helpful tips. Alrighty, next up we have a couple, a married couple. Emily Braithwaite and Alan Braithwaite. They are the founders of Yellow Tuxedo. They help small business owners with their digital visibility and their online presence. And so to help small businesses come to grips with nailing the digital marketing world. And they are terrific people. They were on the podcast some time back now, but it was all around building an online presence with humanity and authenticity. Apart from working with small businesses, etc., they also they've run some online events, and they also run a it's kind of like, I suppose you'd call it, a coaching community as well. So Emily and Alan Braithwaite, Yellow Tuxedo, a fun couple, and they're about to weigh in with what they find is working well for them.
So we've been asked by our favourite Australian on the planet,
Trevor Blimmin Young. G'day, mate.
To answer a question, so we thought we would. But we've also been asked to introduce ourselves.
And because it's you, Trevor, I've written a song. I got this ukulele for Christmas Day. Let's go. I'm Alan from Yellow Tuxedo. And you... No, we're not doing it. No, we're not doing it. Sorry, ukulele world.
We are Emily and Alan from Yellow Tuxedo. And in essence, we help small business owners get unstuck with their digital visibility so that they can grow in whatever direction they want to, freely, happily, knowing that they're going to show up.
And making lots of opportunities from when they do it. Cue explosions always. But Trevor has asked us a question, hasn't he?
What has worked for us over the last year in terms of our personal brand? What thing has worked?
Well, he said personal branding or professional marketing in the past year. So we had a big thing and we came to one thing. We over everything, didn't we?
It's really simple.
It's really simple.
It's human connection, whether that's in the real world, in real life, but mainly for us has been a human connection in a digital world, in terms of showing up freely, making connections, talking to people, having conversations, and giving us to our community as well, so they understand what they're getting when they're working with Yellow Tuxedo has been massive for us.
Yeah, isn't it? It's a giving, and it, this sounds very business, but giving access to you, whether that's in a video, podcast, blog environment or newsletter, something like that, in a more kind of own media way, or if it's just having a chat in the DM and commenting, but absolutely getting involved, connecting and saying hello. That is what.
Or playing the ukulele on social media.
Yeah, that's it. Thanks, Trevor. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Alan and Emily Braithwaite, and a little bit of a jingle to kick us off on episode 250. Fantastic. But the message there is pretty loud and clear. Human connection. in a digital age. It's very easy to get besotted with the tech, but we should never forget that it's the connection we make with other people and all that comes with that is still the most powerful thing we have at our disposal, and a great way to build our brand, to build those relationships, and then deepen those relationships with the people who matter most to the success of our business or cause or issue, if that's the space we're playing in. Alrighty, up next we have Dr. Jen Frahm, who is one of the co-founders of the Agile Change Leadership Institute. And a terrific person to boot. I've known Jen for a long time, and she's been in this space, creating content and building her thought leadership positioning in the marketplace for a number of years. So what she says goes, believe me. She's doing all the right things, Dr. Jen. So what is working for her at the moment? Let's check it out.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jen Frahm, a global expert in organisational change and agility. I'm also one of the co-founders of the Agile Change Leadership Institute. We build change capability so organisations save on the cost of bad change. Now, one of the things that's really working for me at the moment is the strategy of less is more. And when it comes to personal branding of thought leadership, I think you want to be seen as the 3-hat restaurant meal that everybody talks about and they recommend. And when they see pictures of it on Instagram, they smile. And perhaps not so much as the fast food McDonald's version, which arguably might do the job. However, you see it everywhere and you get very used to the banality of the messaging that comes through from that particular brand. Now, what this means in terms of sharing content is that sometimes you disappear. It might be weeks between the time that you share content on your preferred platforms, but that's okay because we don't go to 3-hat restaurants every week. That's part of what makes it coveted and memorable and people talking about it. What it does mean is that when you do share your content, it needs to be really valuable to your audience. Make sure that it's incredibly relevant and timely and laser focused on your brand values. Now, I think one thing to keep in mind is that this strategy is really about thought leadership. It's not necessarily what you would use from a product perspective. And I have products that I sell as well. And that's when, perhaps aligning yourself more with fast food consistency, frequency, reliability in terms of not deviating from the message is more important. But anyway, you can find me on all of the socials. You can subscribe to my quarterly newsletter because less is more. And perhaps you might want to listen to the Conversations of Agile Change podcast, which is soon to be relaunched. It's coming out of hiatus. And let me finish by saying, Trevor Young, you're awesome. Congratulations on such a milestone.
Thank you, Jen, and a very good message there too. Less is more. And I particularly like that analogy of McDonald's versus the 3-hat restaurant. And I suppose there's a lot in between that as well. But it's just a great way to think about your content and how you want to show up in the world. And again, depending on your goals, but if thought leadership is the goal, it's all about quality and your values and making sure everything's aligned. And that doesn't mean that you have to be on the socials, for example, every day or doing a blog post a day, but it's more the quality that you're putting out there. So great tip there from Jen. Next up, my good old mate, Nic Hayes from Perth in Australia. Nic runs a fantastic business called Media Stable. He explains it in his little piece, so I won't go into it there. But when it comes to dealing with the media, Nic is one of the top go-to authorities in that space in Australia. And of course, the message or the messages that he puts out there is relevant on a global basis too, if you're listening in from overseas. What has been on Nic's mind for a while, actually his tip is not a new one. It's something that he's been all about for a decade or more, which goes to show that timeless ideas, insights, advice, it's not just here today and gone tomorrow, but there are a lot of things that we need to continually return to the well and have uppermost in our minds. So let's hear from Nic Hayes from Media Stable.
Hi everyone, Nic Hayes from Media Stable and also to online media training program Expert Registry. We're in the business of getting you, the expert, the authority of your area, into the media. So whether that be radio, television, print, online media, we use your expertise and we use our relationships to connect. And it's that beautiful little bridge. A little bit different to a PR company. We don't smash out press releases. We're all in the business of finding the right content for the right media. The thing that I guess I've been pretty keen on, and it hasn't just been recently, it's been on for the last decade, has been LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an amazing platform of information content. It has you, the expert, and has all the details that I need, particularly when it comes to presenting you in front of the media. And it's a great resource to use and to connect with others and find the next experts of tomorrow. It's not just about taking, though, it's also about giving. And I've thoroughly enjoyed, particularly over the last 12 months, delivering some content that's going to help or even educate people to find their connection, to find their why, and also to get them better placed to be better experts in the media. LinkedIn is where it's at, and have thoroughly enjoyed it. Of all the social platforms that are out there, that's the one that works. If you would like to reach out, I am mediastable.com.au, expertregistry.com.au, and I also have a little podcast called the Experts Podcast I do with Carmen Braithwaite. A lot of fun, some good education and good tips in there as well. But look forward to seeing more of you in the media.
Thank you, Nic. Spot on, my friend. Alrighty, up next we have something a little different, actually. You can't get much more different than what we're about to roll out here. His name is Mitch Jackson. He's an attorney from California and really making headway in the world of the metaverse and Web3 and virtual reality, augmented reality, that whole space, of which it's a big space. And so I'm going to hand it over to Mitch. What is he seeing at the moment that is working for him and that we need to be aware of?
I'm Mitch Jackson, California trial lawyer. I absolutely enjoy Web3 and the metaverse, and I specifically really enjoy tapping into my 3 decades of experience, both as a lawyer and an entrepreneur, to help business owners, creators, artists, leverage the power of Web 2, Web 3, and especially the metaverse. And for those of you that are interested in learning more about these different technologies, maybe starting to incorporate some of these technologies into your business, into your practice, offering your products and services in the metaverse, what I would challenge you to do is set up a complimentary spatial account. That's one of the metaverses that we use. It's spatial, spatial.io, and create a free space and get comfortable in these spaces and learn how to negotiate your avatar, creating an avatar and negotiating it within these spaces. You'll start communicating with other people. You'll start using the live chat, and you'll start integrating your PowerPoints and your videos and your screen shares into your metaverse spaces. I think if you do that, what you're going to find after 15 or 20 minutes, that it's not as complicated as it seems. Do this on your desktop or laptop, and then understand that you can eventually include a headset or even access these spaces from your mobile device like a phone. And I think you'll be setting yourself up and give yourself permission moving forward to incorporate these new technologies into your business, your practice, or your occupation.
Great stuff there, Mitch. Yes, spatial.io, very important to start experimenting. And those who listen to the podcast do know me well. I'm a big believer in just getting out and doing it and having a crack and experimenting. And there's a lot you can do in private. Not everything has to be done in public. But the metaverse and Web3 is something we've got to get our heads around. We hear a lot at the moment about AI and chat GPT and everything else, but all of these elements are connected, and that's a a great episode coming up with Mitch. Keep an eye out for that one. It'll be out in a few weeks' time. And we delve into Web3 and the metaverse in quite some detail from a personal branding perspective, and what, as thought leaders, as knowledge leaders, experts in our space, owners of service-based businesses, we need to be aware of these new technologies and what's out there. So keep an ear out or an eye out for my chat with Mitch. But that was good advice, and spatial.io, I'm onto it already. After urging from Mitch, I'm going to set up my own account on that one, and hope you do too. Let me know how you go. Up next, we have Michelle B. Griffin, aka the Brand Therapist. And Michelle's all about personal brand, and she's got a great tip coming up, something that's really working for her. And so we'll get into that in a tick. Keep an eye out for a forthcoming interview I have with Michelle, with another Michelle J. Raymond, and we'll be hearing one of her tips shortly as well, where they pop into the virtual studio. We do a two for one in the one interview, and they are going to be talking all about their new book, the LinkedIn Branding Book, The Power of Two. Build your personal and business brand on LinkedIn for exponential growth. But in the meantime, here is Michelle B. Griffin.
Hey everybody, I'm Michelle B. Griffin, the Brand Therapist, a personal branding strategist that helps experts really position, clarify, and build their messaging to grow their business. What's been working for me? So many things, but the number one thing is finding clarity in my own brand. Recently, I rebranded to the Brand Therapist, and I cannot tell you how many people reached out and told me, this is so interesting. This really stands out. It is so memorable. So my tip to you is, if you can find some way to define yourself, a moniker, something that really, really stands out. And here's the thing, it may not come overnight, and it may take you weeks, and it may take months, but when you find it, you know. And so just keep trying. In fact, I have been really, really taking that branding, and I actually applied it to my new podcast coming out, the rebrand. I'm putting it to my newsletter. So once you find something that you know people are really resonating with, go for it. Use it to your advantage, and I promise you, you will stand out as the expert you are.
Great advice there from Michelle. I think trying to cut through the noise today is one of the biggest challenges we have in the personal branding thought leader space, and getting that clarity. So if you enjoy that tip from Michelle B. Griffin, you will love our forthcoming interview that I have with Michelle and the other Michelle J. Raymond, all about personal branding, business branding, LinkedIn, all the things. So keep an ear out for that one. I just love the diversity of ideas that we're getting from our contributors, the past guests that I've asked to contribute to this episode. So just recapping, to celebrate this milestone, 250 episodes, I put out the call to a lot of past guests, albeit I did it over Christmas, not the very best time. And we got a really good response, and it's eclectic. And there's some commonalities, and there are some themes percolating as I listen to them, and some things that are, I think, being reinforced. But then there are some things out of the blocks as well, out of left field, that we wouldn't even be thinking about. And my next contributor is Susanna Reay from the UK, and I'm not even going to try and encapsulate everything, because she's got some great ideas here, and I'll let her tell the story of what she's focusing on, particularly doubling down on this year. And I might give you a little bit of it. It's got something to do with frameworks. Have a listen.
My name is Susanna Reay, and over the last decade, my focus has been supporting service-led business owners, such as coaches and consultants, to grow their business online. Success leaves clues, and there has been a clear trend emerging. Significant traction and growth comes after complex ideas and processes are transferred into a visual that shows at a glance where their focus is. This isn't someone else's tool, but their own bespoke framework. including their intellectual property, that captures not only the process involved, but the emotions embedded within. This coming year, I am digging down deeper and specialising solely on creating business and marketing frameworks for my clients. With the rise of AI tools, it's more important than ever to show up with unique content that shows you as the leader you are. I have developed a series of 30 trademark sparkle frameworks that capture the different angles needed to really connect with your audience, as quite frankly, everyone needs a good set of frameworks to market their business. They give a great focal point for videos, carousels, reels, which is where I'm seeing the most connection and engagement from my followers on social platforms such as LinkedIn and Instagram. This is not only working well for my business, but also for my clients who share huge leaps forward in clarity, which then leads to confident action taking by everyone involved. The best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. I'm easy to find there, and if you want to learn more about frameworks and how they can work for your business, check out my website at susannareay.com. That's SUSANNAREAY.com.
Thanks, Susanna. And yes, I don't mind a good framework, and I'm always tinkering with them and over the journey, always improving them. But I've got to tell you, you're spot on. You're 100% right. If you've got a reasonably, you operate in a reasonably complex area, and you've got kind of a process or a framework that you can come up with and articulate, and even better, show visually, that's going to help you provide clarity for your audience, and also thus enable you to communicate more effectively with what you bring to the table, the value you bring to the table. And someone who does bring a lot of value to the table is my next contributor, a former guest. A couple of times he's been on the show, actually, Miles Harris. And so we're going from frameworks to paid social media and what's working for Miles Harris.
Hi, I'm Miles Harris from milesharris.com.au. What's been working really well at the moment is short form video, TikTok and Facebook and Instagram Reels. Interestingly enough, what's been working better on Facebook and Instagram has been Reels from a personal profile instead of a business profile. In terms of advertising, what's been working well is advertising by postcode. So basically micro-targeting to a locality instead of a big radius. That's been working well for me at the moment. Any questions, don't hesitate to contact me.
Thank you, Miles. And yes, if you have any questions around paid social media, Miles is always worth chatting to, because he keeps his finger on the pulse of what is an extremely fast moving area of the digital marketing mix. Heath Evans is someone who takes a very holistic view of marketing and building connection with an audience and building your community and giving back a lot of the time and putting out before you receive. And it's a philosophy that's served him incredibly well. I've known Heath for quite some time. In fact, he tells me I was his first employer, and that was many years ago. And it's been great to follow his progress. And we've had him on the show. It was one of our more popular episodes. And he just speaks a lot of truths, a lot of home truths, and his tip or advice for 2023, his contribution to this 250th episode, doesn't stray too far from that. It's great common sense and something we all could and should be doing, and we can today. Here's some advice, a tip from Heath Evans.
Hey, I'm Heath Evans, co-founder and CMO of Wilderlands, a startup helping Australians protect their most precious biodiversity 1 square metre at a time. So a simple idea that anyone can start today is think about those people who've had an impact on your life, whether it's in your career, whether it's someone you've worked with, whether it's someone that you've just met today, and write a LinkedIn recommendation for them. Do it with sincerity, put your heart into it, think about why they're so unique and send it unprompted. It's amazing when we do these things where we give rather than focusing on receiving, how much of an impact it has on other people, but also how much of that generosity flows back to you. So that's a really simple thing that I like to do every few months. And I find really fulfills me, but also seems to have a real impact on those who receive it. So I don't have any more tips like that, but if you want to follow me, you'll find Heath Evans on LinkedIn, Twitter, and also my website, heathevans.com.au. So thanks so much for the chance to share that idea, and I hope it has an impact on you and those people around you. Cheers.
Cheers to you also, Heath. Always dropping value bombs whenever I talk to you or interview you. It's always the same. Thanks for your contribution. Next up, we have Julian Mather. He's a former army sniper, a globe-trotting cameraman, and a magician. But these days, he's very much about helping leaders and thought leaders and experts gain confidence and present on camera, on video. And it's great to see Julian. He was doing a lot around, he's very much around authentic video and getting out your phone and making things happen. But he's evolved a little bit from that, even though that's his philosophy around just do it, get it out there and get your phone out. But he's got a different tip for us on this occasion. And he's got a lot of titles: editless editing and frictionless video systems. Let's hear from Julian himself.
My name's Julian Mather. I used to be terrified of being on video, and now I'm not. So what I do now is I show leaders and thinkers and speakers and teachers, people with something to say, but they struggle to show up in video and say it. I show them how to become confident video presenters in 7 days and start winning all that trust and authority and jobs and clients you've probably been missing out on. So what's working currently for me is frictionless video systems. So video is something that we all have to use in our marketing now. But if you do it the traditional way, and that's where you have a camera and you record the segments and then you edit them together with all the other components and the music and the sound and the effects, it takes an awful long time. And this scares most people off. So if there's friction, you won't make video. You just go, it's too hard, I'll just pump out some words instead. So a frictionless video system is where you use all this live streaming software. So since COVID came along, there's been all these new apps like Ecamm for Mac and OBS for PC. They're inexpensive and they enable you to live stream. Well, what I do now is I use these to make my videos. I call it editless editing. And so if I'm making a video that is 2 minutes and 37 seconds long, it takes me 2 minutes and 37 seconds to make from start to finish to sending. So there's a little bit of pre-work. You have to make up, your slides and your graphics and everything beforehand. But the benefit to doing that when it comes to marketing is you can reuse this. So it's a mindset of record once, deliver often. This method of using frictionless video systems has improved my productivity on video by about 500%. 600, 700%. It's just so easy to make the videos now. So video is not everything, but it is certainly part of the mixed media strategy that anyone doing online marketing has to have. Get into that. So my recommendation for the next 12 months for you, if you want to get into this, is to don't buy cameras, don't buy that. Spend all your money on souping up your computer. Whatever you've got, buy a new laptop, buy as much processing power, as much RAM as you can afford, because all the advances that are happening now when it comes to making good video for marketing is computation power. Have a great year.
Julian always keeps his finger on the pulse with what's happening, all things video. So it's a great tip and some great insights there from him. Alrighty, next up we have Sarah Mitchell, and Sarah is one of the leading voices in content marketing around the world. She's a writer. She's been in this space for a very long time, and it's always been terrific to chat with Sarah. And I love the tip she's got. I love the bit of advice of what's working for her and taking into account what's working for her, given she is very, very, very experienced as a writer and as a content creator. And yet what she's about to tell you, she does all the time as well. And it's something that I do with my clients as well. I probably don't do it as much as an individual, but I feel like I should be. But it's a really timely reminder to, I'm not going to give it away. I'll let you hear from Sarah, and I'll catch you on the other side of her tip.
Hi there, my name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm the co-founder of Typeset, an editorial services company. We help businesses by creating original, high-quality written content and corporate communications that supports their brand and helps them communicate to both their internal and external audiences. Our core business is editing, writing, and proofreading services, and we develop those to a journalistic standard. What's really working for me at the moment is a continued focus on writing quality. I'm on a mission to make the world a better place for readers, and for me, that entails two things. One, how well things are written, and I'm going to give you a tip on my secret weapon to make sure that happens. And two, how relevant the content is to the reader, and that really goes down to strategy. As the world becomes unglued by AI and the opportunities ChatGPT has created for producing fast, cheap content, I'm even more convinced of the value of quality writing. AI may put mediocre writers out of business, but it's going to make great writing even more valuable. And that's because ChatGPT is going to lower the standard, I think, for quality writing, and it's going to take humans to really make things sparkle the way that an algorithm can't. So my secret to quality writing is working with a professional proofreader. It's not only an investment in quality, it definitely is, but it's a productivity aid. And I don't have to labor to make everything perfect. That's a really time-consuming undertaking. I know I have someone who will find my mistakes and put a polish on everything I do. I can't imagine working without that safety net, and I'm just surprised that more people don't use professional proofreading services. The best place to connect with me and to hear more of my opinions on quality writing is through our newsletter, The Right Fit. You can subscribe at typesetcontent.com.
That is a great tip from Sarah. And when she says proofreader, you might, depending on where you are in the world, proofreader, but also sub-editor. The people that I work with, I tend to work with sub-editors from newspapers. They're doing the same thing. They're not just correcting your grammar, of course, that's all important and that side of things, but they're looking at making sure that what you're writing is carrying through, and that they make it punchier, they make it better, and they can often help with headlines, and no doubt they cut a few words out and keep things short and sharp, but they're also a second pair of eyes to, when you're writing, you can get really close to what you're writing, and having a proofreader or a sub-editor, someone who's a professional, and that's what they do, their job is to make your writing better. So if writing's important for you, certainly bring them in, and they can tidy up your work, because a lot of people, you might be one of them. You're an okay writer, but you're not a professional writer. So to get a professional proofreader or sub-editor in who can work with you and go through your work and make it better, that's going to be fantastic for the audience, and therefore for content for the articles and the material that you're writing and putting out there and publishing in the world. Next up, we have Adam Franklin. Now, Adam's an expert in all things LinkedIn and building your brand and getting clients on using that platform on LinkedIn. But his tip is not around LinkedIn. It's something that we can all do and we should be doing. And again, like a lot of these tips and ideas from past guests, it's a timely reminder. Here we go.
My name is Adam Franklin, and I'm the author of Web Marketing That Works, and I'm a marketing coach who works with consultants and business owners to win high-value clients through LinkedIn. Now, what's been working for me lately has been having Zoom conversations with people in my community, whether that be past clients or people who've bought my online products or people that have registered for webinars in the past. My focus has been to book Zoom catch-up calls with these people without it being a sales call. It is just a brainstorming chat, and literally nothing is for sale on these calls. The reason it's worked really well is because I get to connect more with the people in the Blue Wire community. Now, yes, it has led to work, of course, but more importantly, I feel a lot more connected with the community, and I'm learning about where they need more help. So if you'd like to connect with me, LinkedIn is the best place to do so. I'm easy to find. Look up Adam Franklin. And if you would like to get a copy of my popular web strategy planning template, it's a free download over at bluewiremedia.com.au. Thank you.
Next up is Michelle J. Raymond, and she too is all about LinkedIn, but she too is not giving a tip about LinkedIn. She's talking about what's working for her or something she's just been doing, and she's found it very beneficial. Again, timely reminder. This I got to rewrite the name of this. It's not the 250th episode of Reputation Revolution. It's called the Timely Reminder Podcast because that's what we got, and this is a really good reminder, particularly at this stage of the year as we kick off 2023. Michelle J. Raymond, check her out and keep an ear out or an eye out, one way or the other, for our forthcoming interview with Michelle and her partner in crime, her co-author on that, the LinkedIn branding book. We've got that coming up with Michelle J. Raymond and Michelle B. Griffin, Michelle Square. That's coming up. But in the meantime, Michelle J. Raymond with what's been working for her.
Hey everyone, I'm Michelle J. Raymond. I help B2B marketers and digital agencies sell more on LinkedIn through workshops and training. What I'm finding that is working fabulous for my brand at the moment is to do some housekeeping. So my brand has evolved over time. I've added on podcasts, I've added on website pages, I've added on company pages, I've got stuff everywhere. And what I realized is that I didn't have a consistent message across all of those places. And I also realized that as my brand has changed, as I wanted to grow and evolve, I haven't updated my messaging. So I've had to rewrite, say, my about sections on both my profile and company page, my new taglines. I've had to go to my website and make sure everything aligns, and even my speaker bios. So it was really interesting to do the exercise of an audit of my brand and realize just how many places I was out of sync. And so for me, what I would suggest to people is go and do an audit of your own brand and make sure that it's aligned across all platforms, across all of your collateral, and just make sure that it's all singing from the same hymn book. That's my tip. And yeah, I hope it helps someone out there. Cheers.
Thank you, Michelle. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you for sharing what you've been doing in the background in terms of doing a personal brand audit. Certainly is a great idea. We do carry a lot of garbage, and not garbage, we do carry a lot of baggage is the word I'm looking for. As we build our personal brands, as we create content, as we start new channels, and we add videos and maybe do a podcast, and we keep adding and adding this personal brand baggage. And so Michelle's idea of doing an audit and clearing out a bit of stuff is not a bad idea. And a book I've read over the holidays was a book called Quit by Annie Duke, and she talks all about the power of quitting. And it's something that's very top of mind with my good self. And I've been quitting a number of things, but it's something worth looking at if you are an accumulator of personal brand baggage. Alrighty, next up we have Tristan White. Now, Tristan, again, has got some really timely advice. He's been writing his own book, his second book, and he runs an online community. I won't talk for him. I know a little bit about him because we work together. We have done for a number of years, so I naturally start talking about what he's doing. I'll leave it up to Tristan to talk about what he's doing and also to share his tip and what's working for him.
Hello there, Tristan White here. I'm the founder and chief guide of the Culture is Everything Club. I'm also the author of the book Culture is Everything. Now, I serve service-based business owners and help them to build a sustainable and thriving culture by focusing on obsessing over the skills required around their team culture, their leadership culture, and money culture. What I'm finding working really well at the moment is not focusing on helping everyone. Focusing on really who is the ideal client that I can help and I can serve and I can connect with, and then inviting them to join an off social media community that I use Mighty Networks. By connecting deeply with a small number of people, getting to know them, working with them, supporting them, and building a long-term relationship, I really feel like I can have the best results possible. I also reckon that video is a wonderful, wonderful way of connecting with people. One-to-many video, of course, we know how that works on social media, but I'm talking about one-to-one private videos where you can send to a client, send to a subscriber, and connect with them and let them know how much you care and can help and be valuable to them. That's my suggestion. It is small scale, but it is really big results. That's it. Congratulations, Trevor, on 250 episodes. If you'd like to connect with me, I've got a podcast too. It's called the Think Big, Act Small podcast. If you'd like to listen to an episode or two, I'd be rapt to have you there. Bye for now.
So if there's been, thanks Tristan, so if there's been a bit of an emerging, trend throughout just this small sample of past guests that we've had on the show and who are contributing to this particular bumper episode, it's about the humanity and the connection. So Tristan's just, done it with one part there about sending private videos, personal videos to people, and Adam beforehand just talking about Zoom calls with people, and even going back towards the start where Alan and Emily Braithwaite from Yellow Tuxedo talking about the power of human connection and what it is we do. So again, timely reminders left, right, and centre, but underpinning all the good things that we can do with all the tactics and the tips and the tools and the strategies, the online marketing strategies, underpinning it all really is humanity and connection. And that doesn't go away. And that's been a mainstay of social media and online for a very long time. Sure, you got the online gurus who just want to, growth hack their way to, a million following and 10,000 views or whatever, more, get you 1 million leads in 2 minutes flat. But really, people who are, been in the game for a while, they're credible, they're accomplished, they're thoughtful, they're generous. All the people, that's you. Everyone who listens to this show is all of those things. Look, it's something that's human connection. It underpins everything. So yes, we can have the tools. We can do some really cool stuff today. We can create content and do all that, but nothing replaces human connection. Now, doing it at scale is really difficult to do. So that's why a lot of the tips today are, it's not at scale. It's the individual. Look at the individual and how can we communicate and connect more deeply with people in our digital neighbourhood, in our networks, in our communities. So that if there is a theme coming through loud and clear, or a trend just from the people contributing to this episode, then that's starting to bubble up, I believe. Alrighty, the bumper episode continues on. Next up we have Jane Tabachnick, and I love the advice that Jane's got. What's working for her at the moment? It's something that we've kind of heard about and we've probably been involved on the other side, but it's great to see how it's working for Jane, and she unpacks it for us today. So a good idea here from Jane. Let's hear from Jane Tabachnick.
Hey, it's Jane Tabachnick. I work with mission-driven coaches, consultants, healers, and entrepreneurs to help them strategize, write, publish, and promote a book that helps them share their message or methodology more widely, leverage their book for visibility, authority, and to grow their profits. What's working best for us in terms of marketing right now is hosting free webinars and workshops. In these fairly small, intimate settings, we get to attract ideal prospects and get to spend quality time with them, learning more about them, sharing some of our knowledge and the methods that we use to help our authors succeed in getting their book written and published, and having the book work for them as part of their branding and marketing. These events help build know, like, and trust, and they're great feedback mechanisms. We get to learn what concerns our prospects, what questions they have, and how we can serve them better. These events are pitch-free. However, naturally, after people get to know me and learn more about how we work and the clients we've helped, some naturally reach out and ask how they can work with us. We're looking to add some live in-person writing retreats, so this is a good way for us to get some more face time with clients and understand their needs and the pacing that works for them. I've got a 10-part podcast series that you can sign up for called The Self-Publishing Blueprint, which is at theselfpublishingblueprint.com. You can connect with me on the socials, and I'd also like to invite you to sign up for my newsletter at Tabachnick.com.
Thank you for that tip, Jane. Now we're coming down to the end. We've got 2 more contributions to go, and they're kind of interrelated. So let me, I'll unpack that in a tick. But next up we have Mark Schaefer. He's one of the top marketing bloggers in the world. I highly recommend that you check out his blog, Businesses Grow, Mark Schaefer. And he's just got a new book out called Belonging to the Brand, all around community and taking a strategic look at community. And what I love about community, he talks about big brands, etc. in his book. But funnily enough, a lot of the examples that he gives, these communities, these branded communities, online communities, are started by passionate individuals like your good selves. And so it's a really great chat we have about the power of community and the importance and the role and what's involved, etc. So check that out. And I've recorded that interview with him, so that's coming up in a couple of weeks, coming up shortly. And in the meantime, here's a tip from Mark Schaefer.
Hi, I'm Mark Schaefer, the author of Belonging to the Brand and Marketing Rebellion and a bunch of other books. And I've been Trevor's friend for a long time. I'm proud to bring you this idea today. One thing that I find is consistent in my life is the most human company wins. It's just as simple as this. Get down to every customer touch point, every email, every conversation, every sales pitch, every complaint, and think about how can you be more human? How can you show your face, your heart, your passion, your compassion in everything you do?
Yes, thank you, Mark Schaefer. I love that. It's all about humanity, as we said. It's that common theme, that humanity that runs through everything we do, underpins the marketing and the business building and brand building and everything we do. Let's not forget that we're human beings and we need to connect with people and build that level of emotional bonds and connections with people. So as I was just reiterating, I've done an interview with Mark. It's coming up shortly. It's about belonging to the brand. Check that one out. And in that, we mentioned a guy called Mark Masters from You Are the Media. Now, if you've listened to this podcast a few times, once or twice, you may have come across Mark. He's been on the show 3 times, maybe 4. This is certainly his 3rd. And that's coming up as well. I've racked and stacked a lot of fantastic guests to kick off season 7 of the podcast. This is the first episode of season 7 of the Reputation Revolution podcast. And so in the past, I've had my good friend Brendan Keogh. We listen to, I do interviews, we publish them, and then he and I listen. Well, of course, I listen to them because I'm doing the interviews, and Brendan listens to them too. And then we recap, and it allows us to go deeper into those topics that I had previously discussed with one of our expert thought leader guests. And so I thought, rather than I'd give Brendan a bit longer of a summer break, and because Mark Masters from You Are the Media is running a community, a bona fide community, and he's been doing it for quite a few years, and he's mentioned in Mark Schaefer's book, Belonging to the Brand, then why don't I get him into the virtual studio and we'll chat about my conversation with Mark Schaefer, but also Mark Masters, too many Marks, and I also just, let fly and riffed on the whole notion of community. So it'll be a double-barreled episode around all things community. And having an online community, if you're a thought leader and you're writing, got a YouTube or a podcast or putting content out there and, you're building a following and an audience, then taking it up a notch or two by having a community, whether it's a free or a paid community, is a viable option today, and all the tools and the technologies there for it. And as you'll hear in the Mark Schaefer interview, there's quite a few meta trends are colliding currently, which make online community, or just community anyway, online and offline, shouldn't matter, super effective today. And he's a big rap for online communities. Again, I keep saying online community, for the power of community, as is Mark Masters, who's been doing it. And I'm a big advocate as well. Alrighty, that's a long way of getting to the end of the podcast. This has been a bumper issue episode of the Reputation Revolution podcast. Our final guest contributor for episode 250 is Mark Masters from You Are the Media from the southern coast of England, down in Bournemouth, and this is what he has got to say.
Hello there, I'm Mark Masters and I am from You Are the Media. And one thing that I am seeing that is working at the minute is what Trevor calls high touch. And high touch for me is how people know that they are seen. So whether this is a way that you can personalize these moments when people step to you for the first time, that could be to subscribe, because we don't need to automate the whole world, do we? So it could be a little thank you in terms of a video. It could be a look where somebody is around the world where they subscribe. It could be just a way to make somebody feel welcome, but they know that you see them.
Thank you, Mark Masters. High touch indeed. We're going to pull up stumps there. Thank you for listening. This has been a much longer than usual podcast, but hey, it's been 250 episodes in the making, and we finally got there, which is fantastic. Just as one final quick plug for the kickoff. This is the kickoff of season 7 of the podcast. We've got heaps of great guests coming up. I've been mentioning them throughout this show, so I won't mention them now. And if you skipped through to the end, you better go back and listen to find out who's coming up, because they are bonza guests. That's an Australian term that I don't even know why I said that. So I'm not going to really recap, only to say that, thank you to my guests, the contributors who took time out. A lot of them were on holidays. So I'm much appreciative of that. Thank you, folks. But when it comes to all things building a professional personal brand and building our thought leadership positioning in the marketplace and positioning ourselves for all the good stuff, all the benefits and the opportunities that come with being an active participant in today's reputation economy, which is all the things we talk about here on the show. A lot still comes down to Zoom calls with people, private Zoom calls and personal videos and high touch and humanity and human connection, which are just some of the things that we've been reminded about in this episode, plus a lot of other great ideas and tips and tools, and everything from personal brand audits to, I'm going off the top of the head now, to webinars that are working and finding out more about what clients or potential clients are wanting, right through to getting clarity on your personal brand. And I'm thinking as we go here, what's working with social advertising with Miles Harris, and, going all the way back to our good friends from Yellow Tuxedo, talking about the power of human connection. And of course, we have to mention the editless editing that was mentioned by Julian Mather. How could we not talk about editless editing? I think I got that wrong. I'm going to end on that note. It's been a long episode. I'm cooked, but I'll catch up with you next week with another great episode of the Reputation Revolution podcast. Until then.
The reputation economy is here. The world today needs more genuine, credible experts and leaders to stand up and share their experience, their wisdom, their stories and ideas. Are you in?